Hey everybody, welcome to Speech Bubble. I'm Butch Hartman, and Jace, do you hear something?
Wow. Yeah, I hear music. Wow, because Guy Moon's here.
Guy Moon's here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think that's music you hear, Jace, because there's a giant flesh-eating dinosaur behind you.
Jace, look out! No! Roll the theme music! Hey, welcome to Speech Bubble. That was our theme music and our flesh-eating dinosaur named Bernie. That was Bernie the dinosaur.
He threw me back up, and here I am.
Well, it's not Barney the dinosaur, because Barney is the nice one.
Yeah, that's right.
Bernie is
His
the flesh-eating.
cousin,
Bernie the dinosaur, bad. But hey, now that you're covered in dinosaur spit, I want you to don't touch him now. Don't touch. We have a special guest. Guy Moon is here. Huge round of applause is playing right now.
I love you,
Mr. Moon. Hey, how are you, Mr. Moon?
I'm excellent, thank you.
I like your Hawaiian shirt. You're looking very, very snazzy today.
Cool. Thank you.
And you drove all the way from across the world from Pasadena.
Yes.
Which you've just moved to.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
Great.
But hey, so hey, Guy Moon, do you want to tell people who Guy Moon is? Tell them, Jace.
Okay, I'll go at it.
Who's Guy Moon?
Guy Moon, the composer of every one of Butch Hartman's shows. The composer of a segment of, what was it?
Fight Club.
Fight Club. We were just talking about it.
And the Brady Bunch movies.
And the Brady Bunch movies.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
And all the Fairly OddParents live action movies as well.
And the current
Rocky and
Bullwinkle.
Yeah, who cares about that?
I keep wanting to say
Yeah,
Peabody and Sherman.
Yeah.
No, Big Time Rush. You got Back at the Barnyard. But sorry.
That's right, Big Time Rush. That's right. That's right.
I shouldn't be saying that. Should I? It was Fairly OddParents. Danny Van Tough Puppy and Buds Mississippi.
Let me just stop. Here's how this works, okay?
Yikes, I should.
We have the composer that Butch Hartman brought in out of the cold and dragged him up out of the pit and made him kind of who he is today. You don't mention other shows he's worked on. He's the Butch Hartman show.
Yeah.
He formed me.
Big mistake.
Yes, I know. Well, Guy Moon is talented enough to work on anything, but we don't care about that stuff because he's here to talk. No, I'm kidding. No, super talented Guy Moon, the amazing composer. You've worked with me for since when did we first start working together?
20 years ago when you were 75.
That's right. I was 75 20 years ago. God, I look great for 95. Do I look great for 95? Man,
Congrats,
I do.
man.
No, but we worked.
98, I think 98 was our first.
No, incorrect.
Oh, well.
Incorrect. Okay. It was the first thing where I ever laid eyes on you when I went, was when we worked on Johnny Bravo together on the Johnny Bravo meets Adam West episode.
95?
95-ish. That's when I first saw you. I remember walking around the corner because the guy at Hanna-Barbera that would handle all the music for Johnny Bravo was Bodie Chandler. And Bodie had hired you, and you were working on this episode that Seth MacFarlane and I wrote. A little guy named Seth MacFarlane wrote Johnny Bravo meets Adam West. I come around the corner into Bodie's office, and you're sitting there laughing at this episode, and you thought it was really funny, and you were going to do the music for it. Do you care to expand on that?
Oh, no, it was great. Yeah, Bodie had thrown me a few of those little, what were they called? It wasn't What a Cartoon.
It was Oh Yeah Cartoons.
Oh, no, Oh Yeah, that was at Nickelodeon. It was What a Cartoon.
Yeah.
At Hanna-Barbera was What a Cartoons. Yep. And then at Nickelodeon, the same concept was Oh Yeah Cartoon.
I said Oh Yeah Nickelodeon. Yeah. I'm screwed up. It was What a Cartoon. That's right.
Right.
You worked on those. But you worked on those shorts first, didn't you?
I did probably 2 or 3 of them before I met you. Pizza Boy was probably the craziest one. I think that was Robert.
That was Robert Alvarez, right?
Yeah.
He did that short. And then you worked with something. Didn't you do Bill Burnett, one of his shorts as well?
Possibly.
Okay.
But it's
fuzzy.
It's
fuzzy. It's long. No, it wasn't called It's Fuzzy. It's just hard to remember.
Well, that could be one too.
That's what old people say when they can't remember things. It's like, it's kind of fuzzy.
How about even before that? How'd you get your start in the music business, like with the composing?
Well, I worked for 7 years at a studio, Tyrell Mann Studio.
Now, where are you from, first of all? Just give us the whole load.
Okay, start from the beginning.
Start from the womb, right? Yeah, from the womb.
Yes.
Okay, so born in Madison, Wisconsin.
Got it.
And started playing piano at 5 years old because my dad played the piano a lot. He played the boogie woogie. He played about 3 different songs, and the boogie woogie was the most popular one that he played.
The boogie woogie, like what?
Yeah, it's a generic title for
I thought that was In the Mood.
Well, you could say In the Mood.
Or In the Moon.
In the Moon.
Yeah, we're going to stop right now. Okay, what if I told you about talking to the
continue.
adults are talking. Okay, the adults are talking now.
Continue.
All right. I became Tony Stark. Adults are talking. All right, so listen. So you're from Madison, Wisconsin. Your dad and mom named you Guy.
Yes, after actually Guy Madison, the actor.
Guy Madison, the actor?
Isn't that interesting?
There's an actor named Guy. What did Guy Madison do?
Oh, it was in the 30s and 40s. I think
Really?
He was a cowboy guy.
Okay,
Yeah.
they couldn't have said like Lone Ranger or Gene Autry. It was
No,
Guy
that was it.
Madison.
Yeah.
Now there's Dolly Madison.
Yes,
does
she
the-
makes cookies,
The
right?
treats, yeah, the after school, the school lunch treats. I know Dolly.
Right, the
Madison.
sugar-free, yeah.
Yeah, then there's Dolly
love 'em.
Parton, which is a whole different Dolly. So anyway, go ahead. So Guy Madison. So you're born to Guy Madison, the cowboy.
So my dad plays the boogie woogie on the piano all the time.
Is that all he played?
Out of the 3 songs,
Yeah.
he played that the most. It's famous for you could play it on mostly the black keys. So if you don't want to invest too much time learning the piano, you can learn the 5 black keys and add 1 white one, and you can play the boogie woogie.
Oh, interesting. I didn't
But
know.
that's part of the reason it was so easy for me to learn at 5 years old. And he had been playing it for years. And one day I just asked him to show me how he was doing it, and he showed me, and I started playing, and that was the beginning of my infatuation with music.
Wow.
And 2 years later, they put me into piano lessons with a professor at the University of Whitewater, Wisconsin, who focuses on young students.
Uh-huh.
So I started learning classical and all the things you do
At
as a
age
piano
seven.
student at age 7.
Age 7. Wow.
And then when I got to junior high, I started getting more interested in rock and roll.
I think you're going to say girls. Be
cool.
rock and roll. Okay.
No,
I
wasn't
think those
girl.
go hand in
Wasn't-
hand.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, that's cool.
So,
So were you in like 5 high school bands?
yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
We started
What
a
were
band.
some of your band names that you were in?
well,
remember the names?
the one we started in 5th grade was called Thursday Morning
Nice.
because we rehearsed on Thursday morning.
That's actually a very
And-
cool. I like that. And It's Fuzzy's another one. Remember It's Fuzzy?
Yeah,
There's
It's
another
Fuzzy.
band. It's Fuzzy.
And our music teacher, Tom Ryan, was so supportive. Way to go, Tom! If you're hearing
Thanks,
this.
Tom Ryan.
Let's go, Tom.
He let us rehearse. We'd come an hour early to the music room in the school, and we'd have a rehearsal on Thursday morning. So we played Deep Purple. We played Black Sabbath.
Smoke on the wall.
All the easy stuff. Proud Mary. Yeah, you know. So we played a few dances here and there. But in junior high, we got a little more serious and started
What, like
actually.
Depeche Mode? Like, wait, is that super serious?
Well, the Doobie Brothers. Yeah, we
there you go.
graduated to the Doobie Brothers.
Did you really?
Yeah.
China Grove, little China Grove.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
There you go.
Taking it to the streets and.
Taking
But by
it.
high school-
That was Michael McDonald, Doobie Brothers, though. Taking
Yes,
it
yes,
to
yeah.
the street. Taking it to the streets.
Who can't identify that voice?
Oh my God! But that dude.
And who can't imitate that voice?
I know because
I don't know you, but you're mine.
yeah, exactly. Shine, sweet freedom, shine the light on me. But the thing is, the guy. Oh, What a Fool Believes, one of my favorite.
Oh,
songs.
yeah, yeah.
But the Doobie Brothers were huge before Michael McDonald showed
yeah.
up, and
Oh, yeah.
and he just showed up to be the new lead singer. It was crazy. And then,
Yeah.
like, yeah,
And he had an amazing solo career.
yes, he did.
So by high school, we had actually started to make some money and play gigs, and it was mostly high school dances.
I think it was all you, though. I think it was just you. Was it mostly the same guys, like all the same guys?
Yeah, it was just, our drummers. Funny enough, our drummers kind of rotated. We had the band director, who's named Grayson Babcock. His son Steve was our drummer, and then he got a little more interested in jazz, so he quit the group. So we got Luann Wall, who's was another drummer. So we had a girl drummer.
A girl drummer. There
We
you
got
go.
And we still have a bunch of photos left over from that time.
That's like
with
Josie
girl
and the
drummer.
Pussycats, man. They had a girl drummer.
Yeah.
They were
And then-
cartoons, though. They weren't real.
And then when Luann graduated, we asked Steve back, so he started to come back. And
Steve
we asked-
Babcock.
Steve Babcock. And we played our 30-year class reunion and our 35-year class reunion
Nice.
as that band.
Oh, did you as Thursday morning?
Perfect.
No, by that time we had changed the name to Box, BACH''S, as if we belonged to Bach.
Oh,
You know,
I can't imagine why you guys didn't take off instantly.
Yeah, yeah. You just come up with the crazy stuff at that. You know,
Love the band
try
names.
to.
You know, you could have gotten Jack in the Box. Like Jack in the Box.
Jack and the Box.
Yeah.
and what did you do in the band? Were you playing piano?
I
in the
played
band?
keyboards
Cool.
and sang, and we all sang except the drummer. So we
I
all
will say
kinda
this
switched
guy
out.
is an incredible talent. He's an amazing piano player and amazing just composer and musician and amazing singer and all this stuff. So every time I would do anything on Fairly Odd Parents, I would say, "Hey, can we do a little bit of this?" Boom, it would just instantly get done. I would never. It was never a question or a difficulty ever when I would say, "Hey, can we do like a 3-chord Monkeys song here?" You would know exactly what I meant. Or I'd say like, "Can we do something kind of like, let's do like this like, Latino kind of a salsa beat, but I need a live trumpet in there." And you'd be like, "Yep, no problem." Okay. And it would just show up. It's amazing to have somebody like that in your corner who can do that. Jace is also like that, only without the music.
Yeah, no, I'm not nearly.
Everything else though, I say, "Jace," he goes, "Yes, I can make that happen." And that's
And
right.
then I pretend. Wait, so how'd you go from box to composing? How'd you go from box to California?
So
Box to Butch Hartman. Where
Yeah,
give us
but, yeah,
that
B
whole-
to B.
to Bush. Okay,
to
okay.
B.
I'm kidding.
You want that path?
No, you're still in Wisconsin during all
Yeah.
this.
Yes. So I attend a few music clinics in the summer at Madison, town where I was born. And I meet Jeff Haskell, who's the head of jazz department at the University of Arizona.
Here's the
School
weird
of
part,
Music.
though. Guy Madison is the cowboy, and then you live in Madison.
Yeah, well, maybe there's something
And don't
to
you have
that,
a,
but
shouldn't you have named one of your kids Madison at least in there? It's just very weird to me. It's all very strange.
we broke the chain.
I know. Go ahead. So you're Madison, Wisconsin still.
So this teacher lures me out to University of Arizona because he had just got the people to executives to purchase a recording studio that was a professional recording studio, and he put it down in the basement. So that was very attractive to me.
In Arizona.
In the School of Music.
You like things in basements.
Yes.
Okay.
Otherwise,
write all this down, Jason, because when the police ask us later,
Okay, good.
we're going to have to give them some
got it.
evidence. Yeah, go ahead. Don't worry. We're just writing over here.
Thank you. Good. So otherwise, I had just planned on playing hotels and rock and roll and touring and maybe
Sing
playing
us a song,
lounge or
you're
something
the
like that. I was
man.
perfectly content. But I must admit, my mother did all the paperwork to get me into college, and she got me. They got me a scholarship there, so I went 4 years at the University of Arizona.
Don't you see they were trying to get rid of you? Get out of the house. Please get out
Yes,
of here.
and it
pretty
worked.
much
It worked.
It worked.
And I met two people there, a flute player and a songwriter, who moved to Los Angeles before I left. And it turns out that every job that I can think of that I've had, I got through the connections of those two students that became friends at college.
Really?
Yes.
Even Nickelodeon?
Including you.
How did they? Did I know them or
No. Beth Teller, the flute player,
Yep.
was probably 2 years older than me. She moved out and got married and had an apartment. So when I moved out, after I was married to Jennifer, my dear love of my life.
Yes, that's right. Jenny Moon.
Shout
Met
out.
her.
Of course, I came out. We didn't have a place to stay, so I called Beth, the flute player. I said, "Can we stay with you till we find a
Can we
place?"
stay with you in the flutes?
Yes,
And you went, yes, you slept amongst the flutes.
yes. So she was married to Robin Horn, who's Paul Horn's son. Paul Horn, the infamous flautist.
So
who used to do-
Paul Horn plays a horn.
Yes.
This is so
Yeah.
weird. Dude, this is
All the
weird.
names.
Dude,
Wow.
I'm just saying. Go ahead.
And so Robin, the drummer, asked me if I wanted to sit in on a gig he was playing. And I said, of course. I just said yes to everything.
Yep.
At that point, for 7 years, I said yes to everything.
Yep.
Any musical opportunity.
Yes.
So there.
You said yes to everything. I was
Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah.
wow.
Oh yeah.
That's why Guy has so many friends.
Hey, Jenny my wife was the main breadwinner for 2 years.
Really?
Well, I just tried to make a career in music.
How about that?
So yeah,
What did she do for a living?
she was a
Jenny?
bookkeeper
Oh, really?
at a major accounting firm.
Like an illegal bookkeeper, like on the street, like a
That's right.
bookie,
She
like
asked me not to go past that.
like horse races and things like that. Give mate to 5 on Cleveland. Yeah, got it.
So at this gig, I met Terry Waldman, who's a guitar player, and he overheard me talking that I was in need of an attorney just to look over a 1-page agreement. It was my first agreement ever, so I had no idea what to do. And I said, I need an attorney. And he said, well, why don't you call my guy I've used, Mike Morris. So Mike Morris works in Century City. He's with an attorney, a firm, a law firm. So he did a contract. It was great. Everything went smooth. Then a couple weeks later, he called me and said, hey, Guy, do you got a tape I can give my nephew is an editor over at Hanna-Barbera? And I said, well, I don't have a tape, but let me put one together real quick.
What was the editor's name?
I can't.
What was the last-
I can't remember that.
What was the last
He
name?
was young though. He's probably 25. Mike Morris was the attorney.
That might have been when I was there. I had to be there. That's why
I think it probably was.
Yeah, in the mid '90s.
This would have been 92,
I was there.
93. Yeah.
I was there in '91, dude.
So whoever this editor was, thank you, gave that tape to Bodie Chandler.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
I got a call from Bodie, and he
I remember
said,
Bodie
"You
very
know,
well, yeah.
this stuff is real rough, but I hear something in there that I think we can develop."
Bodie was a great guy. He was
was.
like the elder statesman of the music thing. Because
was.
we were all young punk kids at Hanna-Barbera at the time, and he was like this guy who'd been there for years and ran like the music
Yeah.
department.
He was the head of music,
Yeah.
music supervisor, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
I still trade Christmas cards with Bodie.
Do you really?
There you go.
Yeah, he's a great. And hi, Bodie, if you're watching.
Bodie's
Shout
great.
out
Thank
again.
you.
Well, so that's how you met. That's how you got into Hanna-Barbera and how we eventually probably met. And so,
Yeah.
isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Before that, were you a fan of cartoons? Did you ever see yourself getting into that kind of arena, or was that out of the question?
Well, I certainly loved cartoons,
Yeah.
and I was certainly aware of Carl Stalling's work on all the Warner Brothers stuff.
You are very
Although-
you are very childlike. In many ways.
you.
In many ways. Yes.
Yeah, and I think that helps.
I know. Yeah.
think
Well,
people
it
see
does
that.
help. People don't understand. Keep your childlike side out there, man. You have to. Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I didn't learn who Carl Stalling was until I started scoring animation.
And those of us who don't know, Carl Stalling was the music guy on all the Warner Brothers cartoons.
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny. He did all the Roadrunner stuff too, did he
Yeah.
not? Yes.
Oh yeah, he kind
All
of
that.
he defines the score for animated physical comedy, let's say.
Yeah.
You know, because and that, I think that's one thing that you liked about my work is I kind of followed his. If there was something happening on camera that was sequential, the music would go right along with it, just as if Bugs Bunny was prancing across the screen, and you'd hear the. Boop, 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 boop.
Yep.
Yeah, so I feel like with your music, and I guess with his too, if you just turn off the visuals, you'll know what's happening.
Yeah,
It seems like the
absolutely.
music
You
tells
should.
the story
It really
too.
should.
It's
Yeah,
really
it should
cool.
tell the
Yeah.
story. And I always say that you don't even really need sound effects if you have great music.
Right, right.
You know, we should talk about some of the stuff that we did because I want you to know here. I think you already know this, Jace Diehl. But
Okay, I'll hear
those
it.
people out there just listening right now, when I met you, you came on Fairly Odd Parents. You didn't write the theme to Fairly Odd Parents because it was a really weird little moment there. I had two shorts going. I had at Nickelodeon. I had Fairly Odd Parents and Dan Danger going.
All right, right.
And you did the music and the score for the Fairly Odd Parents short cartoon. The first one I ever did. Didn't have a title sequence though. It was just like ding,
Right.
dee lee 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 lee. It was all
7
it was.
minutes, wasn't it?
It was 7 minutes, yeah. You did that. It was amazing. And then I was doing Dan Danger, but we had a little theme song for Dan Danger, and this guy named Ron Jones did the theme song.
Ron Jones.
Ron
That
Jones.
sounds
What-
familiar.
How do I know him? Yeah. But Ron Jones did the Dan Danger theme. I thought, boy, that guy's really good. He could do the Fairly Odd Parents theme if we ever get a series. Ha, ha, ha. We got a series. And so I let Ron Jones do the title. You did everything but the title on Fairly Odd Parents. But then you did Danny Phantom title and you did the Bunsen title. You didn't do the Tough Puppy title because at the time they wanted me to use somebody else. So we got Adam Schlesinger. But
Somebody else.
But
Come on.
you did every episode of Fairly Odd Parents. Every one for 20 years. You did every episode of Danny Phantom plus the title for as long as that ran, for 4 or 5 years. Tough Puppy, everything but the title for 4 or 5 years on that one. And then Bunsen, the title and all the music on that.
Yeah.
Plus all the Fairly Odd Parents movies. He helped me write the song My Shiny Teeth and Me.
Oh yeah.
My Shiny Teeth and Me. Guy Moon, Mr. Guy Moon. Because I gave you the lyrics. Here's the lyrics. And I had no idea what the melody would be. And then you came back with this amazing melody.
And
I
we
was
wrote
like,
100 songs after that.
we did.
Yeah.
the
All
same way. It'd
No,
be
but-
either in the script or you would just send the lyrics and I would just
Exactly.
put music to it.
Exactly. And it was the whole Fairly Odd Parents musical, School's Out, the musical. There were like 11 songs in that. It was like an hour long, hour and a half. It was an
A little
hour.
over an hour, I think.
But still have like eight or 9 or 11 songs. There's a lot of
Yeah,
songs,
yeah.
dude. And did such a great job on that. And I was never at a loss. I'm like, we'd have even Mr. Crocker when he would sing like, we would just have him. Guy could just put music to anything. We did. Remember the one, love, 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 Vicky's in love,
Yep.
love, love, da,
Yep.
la, da, da, and Icky Vicky and all. Dude, it was just you're the guy. Guy is the guy.
The guy.
Who did all that. But never a problem for you. And was it ever a problem for you? Or you
No,
just
it was just all fun.
it was fun. Why don't you explain the process, how we would work together? I think people would be very interested to hear this.
Sure. Well,
Other than me yelling, I yelled a lot.
You did develop with me a system for spotting and reviewing. And spotting and reviewing, the spotting process is the director or the producer and the composer get together and discuss what kind of music should go where they think it should go.
Because you get a blank cartoon, really.
Yes.
You get a
Yeah.
cartoon
Well,
with no music.
I get full animation with dialogue, no effects, no music. So
Right.
so we'd start by sitting down. It's the same process every composer would go through with his producer, and you would sing to me what you were hearing.
I would sing, I know.
And typically, what you learn in film school and what you just kind of gain by osmosis living in the music community is you take your notepad with you and you start writing what the producer would like to see. And I started writing, and then I found there were some things I couldn't write because you would just keep singing and do wah 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 wah. So I would actually write wah wah wah. And then eventually on episode 5 and 6, I started actually writing the notes that you were singing, like transcribing.
Oh,
the
really?
notes you were
Like I would
singing.
go like, yeah, da, 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 da,
Yes.
da, da, da. Oh,
Yes,
wow,
and I would
interesting.
put like swing or something, happy swing. And then I realized, I'm constantly spending all my time during these spotting sessions writing stuff on my pad.
Yeah.
Some of those sessions were generated 4 pages of spotting notes or 4 pages of fixes.
What would be
Either
average of notes? What would it be?
I'd say for the first 2 seasons of Fairly OddParents, I'd say it was 2 pages.
Yeah.
And as Butch and I worked together through the years, the fixes pages got smaller and smaller. And I think there was about 7 or 8 episodes where there was no notes.
I know.
Out of the 170 Fairly OddParents, I think that we probably done 400 episodes together. When you put all the series together.
Exactly.
So I said to myself, I'm going to just bring a video camera, and I'm going to put it on the screen, whether it's the TV or the laptop or whatever it is, and I'm just going to enjoy and have a conversational spotting session with Butch. And that changed everything because I could go back and review everything Butch wanted. And if I didn't quite get it, I could replay it as many times as I wanted. And I could just be able to be present during the session as opposed to writing every little thing down.
Yeah.
Some of those review sessions got really hairy because you'd have a run-on sentence. You'd just be going with notes. And I'd miss some, and so that fixed all that. And now I do that with any producer I work with. I've been doing it for 15 years.
The video camera?
Yeah.
Look at that. So we pioneered something
You
between the two of us.
You kind of leveraged me into it. And I thank you for that.
I sort of had no choice. No, the thing was though, it's like I would just do the Carl Stalling thing. I would watch Cosmo fly up. I'd go, and then he would maybe fall down a flight of stairs. Boom, 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 boom. Wow, wow. And that's much easier to film than to write it down. How do you write that down?
Yeah.
You can't.
And as long as I came back with that, I was done.
Yeah.
If I came back and it wasn't that, I'd be like, oh no, go boom, 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 boom.
So you worked on, you guys did 4 shows together. I think they all have completely different sounds.
Oh, yeah,
From Bunsen to Fairly OddParents.
I hope so.
Phantom. No, definitely. You got the spy theme with Tough Puppy. I mean, so how did you decide on those sounds for each of those shows? Let's start with Fairly OddParents.
Well, with Fairly OddParents, since it was our first show, I just went with my instinct. And I would say if there's any style of music that is Fairly OddParents, it's kind of a big band jazzy kind of thing. Because in that first episode, Big Problem, Timmy there was a lot of walking around, and he turned into this old man with 3 hairs on his head. Yeah. And it just seemed to be appropriate with a saxophone, and he's a cute guy walking around. So it ended up being that. And of course, the main title is jazz. It's like a jazz choir singing the Fairly OddParents.
We actually recorded that title sequence music. We recorded it in Utah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I talked to Ron about that.
It was in Utah, and it was in an old converted church. I videotaped the whole thing. I got to find that videotape, but it was like, I say videotape because it was an actual camera you held up. But it was like we had the string section over here, and that's where I really learned what an orchestra was like. Because we would stand there watching musicians come in. They're like, okay, the horn players are coming in, and Ron would go, they're just normal guys. They're just normal blue collar guys. And sure enough, they'd come in kind of like wearing their, they're just basic Kmart clothes with their horn case, and they're like, now watch when the violin players come in. He goes, the violin players come in. They're like, now this is not me saying this. I'm just repeating it. The violin players come in. They're like, they'll come in a group. They never leave the group. And there's always one spokesman. And I went, okay. And sure enough, they all walked in, and they would kind of huddle and talk. And then one of the violin players, whoever was the leader, would be like, excuse me, could we ask a question, please? And they would go, it was just really funny. Do you find that as well?
No, that must be specific to Salt Lake City.
Yeah, Salt Lake City. Now, you're primarily a piano player.
Yes.
Correct? Now, but you can really play anything. I've seen you play You play guitar, you play bass, you play everything.
Yeah, well, that's in high school, I would grab any instrument possible. And in the bands that we were in, sometimes I'd double on guitar. I could play guitar well enough to, say, lead a campfire, sing along. Right. So I could play chords. I could play Beatles. The Beatles is easy to play.
That's where I am right now. I could lead a couple of campfire sing-alongs. As long as the campfire people couldn't sing or hear music, I could do that. That's pretty much what I could do. So keep going.
So I just signed up for anything musical. And much like college, even in high school, I would skip my legitimate classes to practice music go in. And I would kind of commandeer the band director's office and the choir director's office. And it got to the point where at first they'd try to, Guy, you have class, you can't be here. Right. But I was so consistent, eventually they just gave up.
They just gave up.
I would be in their office during physics class. and they'd be right next to me, and I'd be listening on the headphones.
But see, that is what I think, and you and I have talked about this many times. That is like having a gift. Like you had to just exercise.
Yeah, I couldn't help it.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you recommend that? Like people, we always try to encourage people here on the Big Speech Bubble. Like if someone out there has a dream or a need, it's almost like a need. You have to do it. Like me with drawing or writing, I have to do it. It's like music as well with you, right?
Absolutely. And I still have that today, except that I don't have to. I have access to all the instruments I need, so I will get a little antsy if I don't hear live music for several weeks.
Oh, really?
So I've got to go. I got to go see somebody play live music because all the work that I do for you and for any shows that I do is
just
all
don't mention other shows. We talked about that.
Yes, for the 4 Butch shows that I've scored in my career,
and that's all I ever do.
I have all I've ever done. It's all recorded. I can take my time creating it. I can always go back and redo it, but live music that's how we all started in live music. With actual time because we're constrained by the time.
And the other thing too, I was gonna get to that too. The other thing what I always admired about you and still do, and is like you're not only just creating music out of nothing, you're creating it under a time limit. You like have to do it like you have like a week. It's like, all right, guy, in 1 week, you have to come back with 7 minutes of music that's exactly like I described, and it has to be amazing. Yeah. You're like, no problem.
Well, that took a while to really nail that down.
Wow.
I wasn't going to say that. But no.
Did you notice?
No, I never know. No, but dude, it was never a question of. It was never a question of can Guy do the music. It was a question of. Can Guy get this particular style of music for this show? We did an episode once of Fairly Odd Parents called Action Packed, where Timmy wishes for he wishes he was in an action movie. And I remember you sent to me like it was back in videotape back in the day. You sent me videotape. You were like Mr. Hartman, and it was your voiceover. Mr. Hartman, the following are 4 different musical styles for Action Packed. And I would watch, and you had like a real James Bond style, and you had like a Die Hard style, and you had like a Alien style. It was amazing. Like there were 4 distinct styles that you did. And I got to choose. It was pretty cool. And I think I chose the most, I forget which one I chose. But anyway, it worked really well.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to your question about how do you figure out the style of the show.
Yeah.
Since I knew that this was going to be a kind of a one-off show that didn't really need any jazz or music that is Fairly Odd Parents sounding, I wanted to just get the feedback before I scored the whole thing. So I probably sent you 20 or 30-second clips.
Yeah, you did.
Of that.
And there were like 4 of them, yeah.
And it's really helped because if you love one, then I know, okay, here's the style for the rest of the show.
And you also did the amazing song, I Wish Every Day Could Be Christmas. I wish every day could be Christmas.
Well, we got nominated for that, didn't we?
I know. We got nominated for that song. We also got, we're talking, Jace, we're talking Emmy nominations over here, okay?
Whoa, hey.
And by the way, Moon has actually won. Did you win an Emmy?
No, Annie.
You won an Annie.
Won an Annie.
Now that makes one more Annie than I've ever won. I've been nominated for like 15 Annies and 16 Emmys or something. And
Scoundrels.
I know. I haven't won.
What was the Annie you were nominated for? What show?
It was actually I was thrilled because it was a piece of score, and I don't think I ever got nominated for something that wasn't a song. So we'd all get nominated. The scriptwriters and myself would get nominated.
For songs,
yeah, and I think the Valentine's episode
we got 2 songs in the Valentine's episode. It's Great to Be a Guy.
Oh yeah,
What Girls Love. Then we got Wish Every Day Could Be Christmas, and there was one more song we got nominated for. There were 4 songs.
Yeah, it was 4 nominations.
Might have been one of the ones from the school musical. I'll have to look that up. But anyway, but then what was the score you got nominated for? Was it for one of my shows?
Yeah, it was.
Was it Tough
the trilogy?
Wishology.
Season 7. Yeah, Wishology. I think it was the final Wishology where Timmy's got his guitar and it's got lightning coming out and he's like controlling the tornado.
Yeah, that's definitely last one.
And he rips into this Van Halen solo.
Yeah.
And I submitted it because the music was so tied with the story at that point.
Yeah.
A lot of times the music can be treated as background, and it is background. Sometimes it's just filler.
Yeah.
But in this case, the music had to track with the story and track with the intensity of Timmy's success, and finally, obviously, go to the climax where he saved the day.
Exactly.
By exploding. I forget what.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it was exploding something, and he won. And but that was the episode we got to use Gene Simmons. We got to use all the Kiss stuff.
Were you involved with that too? Then with
not the pre-records. No,
okay.
That was all on the picture when I got.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, but Gene Simmons said we can use the song "I Wanna Rock."
Oh yeah,
It
we
All
actually used that,
Night.
the original recording of that.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly,
wow.
exactly. And then when we did do the Tough Puppy theme song, I actually got to play that little lick on the.
That's right. That's right.
I think he probably re-recorded it, but but Adam Schlesinger pretends that it was me on that. But anyway, I tell people because I did record it, so hopefully they use it. But anyway, what I loved about Danny Phantom, especially, let's go to Danny Phantom for a second. So, how did I tell you I wanted that theme song? What did I say about that theme song?
You referenced a few very popular pop songs.
Yes, I did. That shall be
won't
nameless.
mention.
That we won't mention exactly.
But let's say they weren't in the same decade that we were
Okay.
in. So
Exactly.
you reference a beautiful
Well, there are a couple
song.
versions of that theme song that I've heard, right?
Yeah, the version
Danny?
that ended up on the show was the third version.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, but they all have that intro, and that's that was the
That's the
theme.
classic thing,
Yeah, that ends up being you hear that through
Yeah.
so many different styles of music in the score.
And that's you going, he's a phantom. That's you.
Yes.
That
Is
is
it
you
really?
in there.
He's a
That's
phantom.
That's
That's
Sky Moon.
That's not the guy who sang it.
No,
Wow, that's
Derek Batiste did the rap.
Yeah.
But I call it a rap. I mean, that's us writing the words
Yeah,
of it. And that was totally me going, hey, here's the lyrics. And then we discussed it. Like, this maybe should be like a rap or something.
Yeah, because the first two versions weren't a rap.
No,
And I think we probably got some feedback from the network on that too. The very first version was just a melody, like a normal theme song.
Wait, can you do it again? He's a phantom. You got to do it one more time.
He's a phantom.
That's it. That was you.
Gosh, that's so cool.
That's
I didn't know that.
him. He's fanboying out. He's totally nerding out over here.
Well, I'll tell you, out of all the people I talk to, especially the young people, that's the show that gets the most buzz.
Yeah, right.
Dude,
Yeah.
no kidding.
crazy.
You should be on our end of things. I mean, we have a YouTube channel and we love everybody who subscribes to the channel, but our videos do well, but the Danny Phantom videos do really, really well. It's like,
Yeah.
No, it's like Danny Phantom, it's a niche cartoon, but we have like almost everybody in that niche that loves that cartoon. They really do. It's
Well,
really
whenever I'm asked if you have a favorite show that you've worked on, I say that.
great. Yeah.
Now, why is that for you?
Well, I think partially, first of all, it was the most difficult because the scope of that score is just gigantic.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It goes from the times when Danny is not a superpower hero.
Not superhero, right.
It's kind of light and fun and funky.
Bloom, bloom, bloom.
And
Wow,
yeah,
wow, wow.
kind of towards that Carl Stalling approach, but it's more modern instruments. It's with guitar and synthesizers and drums and it had a kind of a hip hop influence as much as I can put on a hip hop influence. Yeah, and I kind of cheated when I wrote that because I wrote it on guitar because I knew the score would have a lot of guitar on it. So I wrote a lick that I could play easily on the guitar.
Okay.
So for all you guitar players out there, you know how easy it is to play that. That's literally how much this fingers are moving.
It doesn't even move.
Literally,
Yeah.
it's 3 notes.
But but what I loved about the Danny Phantom theme song is like we could use it anywhere in the show. Like if something was sad, we go.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah. So that goes with what my answer is that it was the most challenging, definitely. But then a lot of times when you work so hard at something and you succeed, it becomes more of a favorite to you. So even so you got that style for when he's not a ghost.
Right.
Then when he goes ghost, it gets a little more. Is it dark? I'm not sure if dark.
We'll say intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it amps up definitely.
So now you add the orchestral element, and
Yeah.
then when he's actually in a chase or catching or beating up on people,
Yes. Right.
Ghosts.
it's really, really intense. So it's turned out to be like this giant rock band with a huge drum set and a 70-piece orchestra that was, and with a lot of Butch's stuff, the focus tends to jump back and forth. So you'd have Danny succeed for 15 seconds, and then whoever the nemesis was would take over for a while.
Yeah.
So I'd have to jump back to that, and then the orchestra would just get really menacing. And
plus it was I'm sorry, what?
usually it would end up with Danny, when he was victorious, which was most of the time, if not all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
You'd have this big, all the instruments playing and the guitar ripping on that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Well, some of my favorite music was the after credits music at the end. It was like a
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like background vocals. Yeah.
They go, ba-da-do, ba-da-do,
Yeah.
bum, bum, bum.
Yeah.
And also don't forget the billionfold. That's you. That's him and I.
you do.
Right, that's what.
And that's back now with your new
It is
shows.
back.
Yeah,
Let's do billionfold. 1, 2, 3.
Billionfold. Dun-dun-dun.
That's totally it.
And I go, ink. Yeah, there we go. All right, yeah, that's it, pal.
Oh,
No.
but the other difference between Fairly Odd Parents and Danny Phantom, Fairly Odd Parents was an 11-minute episode.
Right.
Danny Phantom 22.
Right.
Did you have more time to work on
Nope.
Danny Phantom? Really?
No,
Wow.
I think most of the Nick shows that were in production were 10 business days, which to a composer
Wow.
means 14 days because you don't take a day off.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'd spot on Monday, and it was the mix, or I forget if it was a mix or the final review was the 2 weeks
Well,
Mondays after
you'd
that.
have
So
like
I'd
a
have-
week, and then we'd watch it, and I'd make notes,
Yeah.
and then you'd have like another couple days,
Yeah,
and then
that was the same for all the shows. It was
Yeah.
just
So you had to work
10
twice
days.
as fast on Danny? Like, was it more pressure on that show?
we were doing Fairly Odd Parents and Danny at the same time.
Oh, that's right. How did that work?
And so, by the way, so was I.
Oh, you were doing that too?
Occasionally, yeah, a little bit.
How did that work for you?
That was a bit of finagling, but I did start to hire help.
Okay.
I hired arrangers. So what I would do is I would write, typically like in the way back old days, you might just write a piano score and then you would give it to an orchestrator and he would fill out the violins and the. So that wasn't our process, but it was similar where I would hire arrangers and we all had the same gear, MIDI setup. So I could write the themes in where they go, and then they would fill the whatever the instruments would be, whether it was that huge orchestra stuff or it was more a rhythm section with drum beats. And you know, now a drum beat is just like
Which
click
is
a button.
wild, I know.
Yeah.
You know, what's weird to me is I love music and I'm a fan of music. I just don't play music. I mean, play a little bit. Guy and I were actually in a band for my wife's birthday party.
Yeah.
We actually had a band we were in. We called ourselves the Red Tornadoes.
Oh, I was there. It was great.
You were there.
Number one fan right here.
Well, that
oh,
was
you were there.
Yeah, that was me. I was the guy in the front with the
You were
red
there?
tornado shirt.
By the way, I
Guy's
say
face
that
on
when he's here by himself. I'm like, oh, you were here. I didn't know that.
Isn't
Hi.
it fun to tease Jason?
Oh, it's great to tease
It's
Jace.
it. Just ask anyone.
Jace can really think he's like, it's okay. I just wish I was never born.
Oh, here's
It's
another-
okay. I just wish I was never born.
I'm basically Mr. Crocker.
Exactly.
But
No,
don't watch.
what I was going to say, I just don't understand how to write music or to arrange it or anything like that. That's why we have people like the amazing Guy Moon doing all that stuff, which is great. And it all comes down to storytelling, though. It really, really
yeah.
does.
Oh, yeah.
Because all of us have to remember, like, you might be a great composer or a great guy who plays guitar or whatever. I might be a great artist or someone might be a great artist, but if they can't tell a story with it, it's going to be very limited in what they can do.
Really need to serve the story in whatever way the producer wants.
And you probably know a guy, a bunch of people that probably love music, but they've probably never really been able to make a living at it because they've just been guys in bands. Nothing against that, but you've been able to make a really great living at it and do kind of anything you wanted to do. And you would work. I know. I'd come to your house to do spotting sessions and stuff in the morning. You'd been up all night in your pajamas because it just takes it. But you love what you do, though.
Yeah.
You never.
And I
would-
still love it, 30 years later.
Yeah, you would never have done anything. I mean, I just know because you're like me. I was like, and when you say you had to hire arrangers and stuff, there came times when
yeah.
things got so busy, I just couldn't do it all.
Yeah.
And I had to start hiring people. But then I noticed that having to explain what I need them to do would take just as long as me doing it myself. I'm like, look, the hour I just spent talking to you, I could have drawn this whole thing. What do you need
That's
now?
a learning process.
Exactly. What do you need now? I'm like, oh God, I could have just had this done already. But that comes with growth. All of us have to grow, and thank God we all do get to grow. So
And at one time, I think Fairly Odd Parents and Danny Phantom was going simultaneously.
Yeah.
And for multiple seasons too. You know, we do season 2, season 3.
Yeah.
of both
And then,
shows.
And then some other lousy, unnamed show came into my life.
yeah, that shall not
So
be
I was
named.
doing 3 shows at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was interesting trying to keep that information from certain people in the same corporation.
Yeah, that was
I
interesting.
mean, I didn't lie about it, but
Yeah.
I just didn't, blab about it. Oh
you're-
yeah, I'm working on 3 different shows. Really?
yeah,
Wow.
no,
At one time-
the reason he didn't want people to know that because they would not have allowed him to work on all the shows because they didn't think he could get
really?
it done. Because sometimes people will take on 3 or 4 projects, but so many have failed while they try doing that it's not a good idea to spread people so thin.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So
Wow.
at one point, I had 9 arrangers.
Wow.
And like you said, I found myself spending half the day managing the arrangers. So I said, okay, I got to cut it back. So I cut it back. I took the best 3 of them. And they stuck with me for through all those.
So is that the most
Yeah.
amount of shows you've worked on at once? 3 shows?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
3 shows.
amazing.
And by the way, 3 is incredible.
Yeah,
and
that's crazy.
then we would give you. Did you ever work with a full orchestra on our shows ever? Did you ever like for some of the schools out stuff do like some full?
No,
orchestra?
there was musicians, but it was never the orchestral type. So
Okay.
we would do rhythm sections, like any of those songs that were for even like the Christmas one episode or season 8 or 9. What was it?
Which
I
one?
wish.
Oh, I went.
Not,
It was.
the later Christmas.
The one-
episode.
I know what it was. It was
With the male?
on the list, not on the
On the
list.
list, not
Yeah.
on the list.
Not on the list, yeah.
Yeah. That's all musicians. You know, that's a drummer and a
Oh, okay.
guitar player
Yeah.
and a real tuba player. There was a tuba
Cool.
No way.
feature in that.
Yeah, exactly.
So those are all musicians, but I don't think we ever did an orchestral.
right.
How did your process change over the 30 years, like through the digital age? Like, did you transfer more onto computers? Because I know, like with Butch, you went from paper to computers. How did it change with you?
Well, I think that was actually part of my success and my moving up the so-called ladder was that I came to Hollywood in '85, and it was just when computers were starting to make a difference and to be in the mainstream. Now, the computers that, you know, there are drum machines. I mean, the Lin 9000 was kind of a staple for so many people.
Now,
It was a
the
computer.
Lin 9000 sounds like a killer robot from the year 2100. That's what it
is.
sounds like.
It's about this big, and
Oh,
it's
yeah?
got a bunch of buttons on it.
Oh,
But it was the main instrument people were using to control other MIDI devices like keyboards and things like that. So the
Explain
computer
what a MIDI device is too. To people who don't know.
MIDI devices.
And MIDI is
musical-
it's MIDI, MIDI.
musical instrument digital interface.
Yeah, come on, Jace.
Developed
Oh,
by,
I've
Don't you
seen
know
by
that?
Yamaha. It was just simply take a chord from one keyboard to the next, and you can play back and forth.
Yeah.
Oh,
You can
okay.
play the second keyboard.
Basically, it replaces a whole room of musicians. It really does. If
Kind of what ended up happening.
which is so astounding to me. But you still need the brain to control it, like the human brain
Yeah.
to make it all work.
But still, we are seeing orchestral recording on the rise.
Good.
Oh yeah.
And yeah. There was a time, I would say maybe in the 90s or maybe early 2000s, where just like any wave, it swung over to the side of MIDI. Everybody was doing MIDI, and executives were happy because it cost a fraction of what an orchestra would cost. So they started doing that, and then people started getting missing the heart of real instruments, organic instruments. So
That's why you
I
feel
believe
like-
that has something to do with why.
Well, that's
it's
why you
coming
feel
back.
like you got to go out and see real music get played all the
Yeah,
time. You
exactly.
just need it. Wow.
Plus, with these blockbusters that are bringing in $2 billion, it's like, okay, we can afford to spend.
So have
an
you worked
orchestra
with the
on
full orchestra, or are you primarily mainly on the?
that. Yeah, I have with,
Cool.
with several projects.
Brady Bunch movie? Did you do the?
Yeah, that was an orchestra. Even though we did that in pieces, it wasn't everybody all at once. But that's there was probably a 35-piece orchestra.
How did that project come about with the Brady Bunch movies?
Well, I was working at that studio, Tyrell Mann, which is Steve Tyrell, who's now a pretty well-known jazz singer, and Barry Mann, who's a hugely successful songwriter from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s,
Wow.
2000s. He wrote "Who Put the Bomb" and on Broadway.
Who put the bump and
He
the
wrote
bump,
"Just
bump.
Once."
Who's this guy?
Barry Mann.
Barry Mann. Wow.
Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil. Yeah.
Well, those are huge hit songs on Broadway. They say
Yeah,
the
yeah.
neon lights are bright. Holy moly!
Yeah.
Holy
So
moly!
that was the connection I made through my other college friend,
Wow.
Scott
Oh yeah.
Cutler.
Okay, we're going back
Isn't
to that.
amazing?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
So he introduced me because he got a songwriting deal there at Tyrell Mann because it was a publishing house for music, and they started to get into supplying songs for TV shows and then supplying score for TV shows, and that's when I kind of perked up. I was just on staff there. I was just doing whatever, doing MIDI arrangements or setting up studios or running for coffee, whatever. And that's how I got.
We need some coffee right now. Actually, you want to go back? Go get the. He's going
my
to go out for
job,
coffee. Oh, right, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. That's right. Yes, don't take Jace's job away.
So Steve brought that gig in. He knew some people at Paramount, and I think Arlene Sanford was the director on the first one. And
Okay.
they hit it off, and the reason they didn't hire a typical composer to do it was because they had all this music from the TV series that they wanted to recreate exactly the way it was.
Oh, interesting.
So they got Bill Reichenbach, who's an incredible trombone player in town, to do that, to recreate that. He went and found the original scores
Wow.
from who's the composer? I'm blanking on the composer.
Gosh,
now,
for
but-
Brady Bunch, I don't even know.
Yeah.
And that was all live instruments.
Yeah.
That was all live. Yeah.
so he recorded that
Da,
side
da,
of
da,
it.
da, da, da. Here's the story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
which we did for Tough.
Of a lovely lady.
Oh,
we
yeah,
did
that's
that.
right. Yeah.
That's the way
nice.
we became the Doom Bunch. Dun, 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 dun.
Tough and Doom.
Tough and Doom. We're
So-
tough and doomed.
So they still, for the Brady movies, they still needed some score. So for the first one, I wrote about 10 minutes of score.
Wow. Okay.
And
wow.
that was all orchestral. And the very first opening scene is kind of like a Gilligan's Island. You get lost in a boat in a storm. So that was a lot of fun to do that. I pretty much took off John Williams' approach on that.
Pretty cool. Now, what is the John Williams approach?
Just very sweeping and very melodic, and it's kind of fun to do when there's not any dialogue. So you got this shot of a boat that's off in the very rough seas, and you got a lot of sound effects, but there's no. I think for the first minute and a half of the movie, there's no dialogue. So the music can really be up front and be melodic, and really set the pace.
We had, I would say with Fairly OddParents, we had wall-to-wall music. People would always comment, Butch, your show has so much music. And I'm like, yeah, I like a lot of music. I think it's pretty cool.
I've told people if it's a 22-minute episode, there's going to be 21 minutes and 55 seconds of music.
Tiny bit, yeah.
It's true.
Okay, so
It's really...
It just felt like dead space. I know.
you said you followed the John Williams approach. You said you copied like the Monkees. Like you can do all these
We just
different
copy.
styles.
That's all we do.
Well,
Copy.
I mean, not copy. You know what I mean? You can fit with all these different styles, like the hip hop of Danny Phantom, the jazz of Fairly OddParents.
Yeah.
How did you get to master all these different musical forms?
Well, it's because I was just so interested in music. I was in band. I played drums in high school band. I played the tuba in the high school band. I played saxophone in college. If there was an instrument, I would just go for it, and eat it up.
Yeah.
And also the same thing with different styles. In college is really where I was able to experiment with different groups. If you could, it was great because that studio I was talking about, I was like the only student who knew about it for a year. So I kind of had my way with it. I could go down, I could get an ensemble together, write something out, and hear how it actually sounds in the studio. So I just did so many different styles of music with that really helped. And I didn't have a purpose in that. I just wanted to do it. I said, well, this sounds interesting. Let's
That's the best
try
way to
this.
do it, yeah.
So that when, especially when it got to Fairly OddParents, and each episode, some of the episodes would go off the typical score. Like some episodes were on other planets and things like this.
Yeah.
One of my favorite ones we had you do, and I said, okay, there's no dialogue in this episode.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
I said it's all music. And I
Sound
said,
off, was it? Or
no,
shut up
it was
or something
piped down.
Piped down, yeah.
When there was no one could talk, there were
Yeah,
no
that's
sound.
right.
And Timmy goes, I wish there was no more noise, and there's no noise.
Yeah.
And it's just you doing the. And I said, you ready for this? You're like, I'm ready, and you did it. You pulled it off perfectly.
Yeah, so that helped. All my investigating early on turned out it helped to jump back and forth with these different styles. And of course, I need to go research. If there's something that I haven't done, I mean, it's typical in animation for the producer to just ask for anything. There's nothing's off limits.
So if somebody wants to be a composer like you are, do you think they have to be versed in every instrument, or do you think now with like computers, do they have to?
I think starting out, what is it?
You gotta have a musical mind. You gotta have a musical
Yeah.
mind, I think, right?
There's a saying, something like luck favors the prepared, or something like that. So I definitely advise that for anybody starting out, because unless for somehow you have a very defined direction that you want to be and end up in. But when you're starting out, you pretty much, like I did for the first 7 years, you just gotta say yes to everything.
You do?
And
You're
I can
learning.
see if I chart out my career and look at some of the no's that I said, I say to myself, I should have said yes. Because then you can follow those people.
I have a bunch of those too. Like I should have said yes to this, but I would have ended up somewhere else probably.
Yeah,
But
I
still,
wouldn't have been working for Butch Hartman.
Well, boy,
if I'd have said no more often.
Be on this podcast right now.
Yeah,
getting paid nothing. But I'm saying
I should have stuck with Spielberg.
There you go.
Well,
I know.
I don't know.
You
How's he
did
doing
do
now?
some
I don't
music in what was it? Minority Report.
Yeah, Minority Report.
And what you have some music in Minority Report.
Minority, yeah.
Yeah.
Rolls off the tongue.
It just rolls off the tongue.
It's similar to the other piece that there's,
Fight Club. There's a piece in Fight Club.
Yeah. So in Minority Report, about in the middle, Tom Cruise is eating breakfast. He just got his eye plucked out by the robot or operated on.
Right.
And there's a box of cereal, and this is in the future. It's like 2050 or something like that.
Right.
And in those days, they would run ads on the actual cereal box. So it was like LED box or something, and they'd run these little ads. And there was a cereal called Pine and Oats, and the direction was, in 10 seconds, you got to come up with a a song that gets more and more and more annoying as it goes along because ultimately he tries to turn it off. Tom Cruise tries to turn it off by touching it. That's, everybody knows.
Yep.
Turn the ad off by touching the cereal box. And
Of
it
course.
doesn't, he touches it and it doesn't turn off. And he touches it again, it doesn't turn off. So finally just takes it, throws it up against the wall because it's annoying him.
Yeah.
Right.
Literally, it's probably 12 seconds long.
How'd you
that's
get
me.
that though? How did that come about?
Well, at Tyrell Man Music,
Again,
I
going
met
back to that.
Mike
Wow.
Knobloch, who ended up being the vice president of Fox Music.
Wow.
He's now president of Universal Music
Wow.
and Publishing.
Amazing.
Way to go, Mike.
Way to go, Mike.
And so he would throw me these little pieces. He
Cool.
threw me the Fight Club thing too.
And in Fight Club, Brad Pitt's watching a movie, and Brad Pitt sabotages the movie in some way. But you did music for that
lightly
movie.
put, yes.
Yeah, that's all we say here in Speech Bubble. We keep it very
Family
now.
friendly.
We're calling it. We should call it clean speech bubble.
Yes.
That's what we should call it. Like exactly abridged speech bubble. Well, that's amazing. But listen. I mean, there's Fairly Odd Parents, Danny Phantom. You have done Big Time Rush. You have done. What else did you do? Just did the Rocky and
Back at the
Bullwinkle
Barnyard
show.
was
Back at the Barnyard with
big
Steve
for
with
me over
Steve
there.
Odekirk, right?
And then
Yeah,
Ned's
and Jet Spin
Declassified. Did you
Garb.
do that as well?
Which one?
Ned's Declassified. Did you do that show?
No, I didn't do that.
Okay, that was another fellow show you didn't do.
I actually turned that down.
Oh.
But it wasn't because of Scott Fellows. It was because of the money. Because they had, I've been accustomed to scoring these shows that were wall-to-wall music, and they thought that Ned's Declassified was going to be just transitions. So the budget was
Yeah.
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
an eighth, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
What my other starting fees were,
Yeah.
and I wasn't a big timer. This is just what they were starting everybody at.
Yeah.
But it turns out Scott wanted wall-to-wall music,
Oh, okay.
so I had recommended him to one of my arrangers, Emilio Palame, and he ended up doing it with his son Emerson Palame. So they did
All the Ned's Declassified.
Well, you did do
all the
Big
dances.
Time Rush, which
Yeah.
is basically a cartoon.
Yeah.
It's basically right.
If you had to associate it with something, it would be the Monkees
Yeah.
series. And that was such a blast. They made a movie, a TV movie.
Yeah.
Scott was
version
developing
of
that. He was developing that when he was working on Tough Puppy with me. I'd come in his office and he would shove things under his desk. Hey, Butch, how's it going? What are you doing there, Scott? Oh, nothing. Just working on your show. Working on Tough Puppy because I love Tough Puppy. And then this thing would fly out.
I can see
piece
him.
of paper would
I can
fall.
see him doing that.
Yeah. But that's what you do in Hollywood.
Yeah.
You start making your own way. You start doing stuff. Hey, our sign's falling off the wall, by the way. Look at this. All right, there you go. Let's put this.
I bear the responsibility.
Here at Speech Bubble, we spare no expense
High
and the
quality.
finest duct tape for the side. Well, anything else you want to talk about? I mean, you and I have worked together on other things outside. You helped me with Hartman House. You're one of my biggest donors for Hartman House on my foundation. Thank you very much, Mr.
Absolutely.
I almost said Mr. I said some other name, Mr. Moon. Thank you, Mr. Moon. No, but you really are. You donated so much money to our foundation, Hartman House. You went to Haiti with us. We went to Haiti to help out
Yeah,
this
thank you.
orphanage.
Thank you for the invitation.
No, you and your wife and your amazing son, Dusty Moon, went with us too. Dusty's kind of my arch enemy. He's kind of the.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if he was in here, he's kind of the anti-Jace. He's like.
Oh, I see.
You would like fight with Dusty, but Dusty's a great guy. But like it's like me and Dusty. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? He's like, hey, what's up? And we're like, we know where it is.
There's
We know.
something there.
But Dusty also an amazing musical prodigy.
Yes, and he co-composed Big Time Rush with me.
Yes, he
Oh,
did.
really? Wow,
Yeah.
that's cool.
It,
And
it
you're-
ended up, it was nice because there was two different styles. There was the kind of more modern kind of band type stuff, pop stuff that he did, and then the more classic kind of Carl
No,
Stalling.
Dusty's
Nice.
great, and your daughters Chelsea and Savannah are amazing and talented as well. Savannah,
Yes.
in particular, I remember she did a song for our documentary that we did based on that orphanage in Haiti, and she
Mama
did.
Workman.
That's right, Mom
Yeah.
Workman. Remember that? But
She
was-
wrote it and sang it.
I know.
Yeah.
She's. I know. What are they doing now? Your kids. Savannah.
Savannah's married. Chelsea's married and has a granddaughter. We have a 2-year-old granddaughter.
You have a granddaughter
The
now.
cutest.
Yeah. She is the cutest.
Yeah.
Now is Dusty married or what's
No,
going on there?
Dusty's
What the heck?
dating seriously.
He is.
What
There
is
we go.
going on?
Yeah, what's going on there with Dusty? That's really
I'm
why.
concerned about Dusty.
This is really why we're here. No, I've known Dusty since
Bring
he was
Dusty
like.
in.
I've known Dusty since he was like 9 years
Yeah.
old. So it's like I'm his grandpa too.
Well, those 3 kids are the kids singing on Icky Vicky.
I know.
Oh, are they?
The first
Yep.
thing you hear on Icky Vicky
VICKY. That's
is my 3 kids, and that
Yeah.
was the demo, and everybody loved
was
it.
So you're just like, hey,
Fantastic.
Kept
kids,
it.
come in here. Let's.
Oh
record.
yeah,
Like,
I think Dusty was probably 7.
Wow.
Savannah was 9, and Chelsea was 10.
Remember
and
Vicky-
they got their SAG cards on that.
And that killer.
awesome.
Remember Vicky Free Summer? Well, it's a Vicky
Yes,
Free
yes,
Summer.
that's
So many
It's
great
not
songs.
Gonna be a
We need to release all the songs.
and all
Yeah,
the
really.
and find your
Big
voice
album.
with Chip Skylark, all that stuff. And I just can't thank you enough. What else can we talk about with
Well,
the mood?
most
There's so many
recently,
things.
What shows have you been working on most recently?
The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle for DreamWorks, which
Yep.
is
Yee,
airing
Rocky!
on Amazon.
Yes, very cool.
And there's
Scott Fellows running that show.
Scott fellows ran the show.
Yep.
I also scored 100 Things to Do Before High School with Scott, but it only went one season.
Yep.
So everybody's trying
Just
to figure
like
out
Bunsen.
what happened.
Yeah, same with that one.
Same exact thing.
And Bunsen was an amazing show, and Bunsen was an amazing theme song as well. We had kids sing that theme song too.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was a blast.
Otherwise, there's a gigantic hit coming up called The Garden.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Scoring.
Yes.
That's Garden. That's a show that I'm
And
doing with
even
Mr.
bigger
Moon.
hit called The Hobby Kids.
The Hobby Kids, another thing. Which
I'm
is-
getting
I read a
psyched
couple
up for
episodes.
that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hobby Kids has been done completely through email. It's a cartoon I've done. I haven't met, I hardly met anybody who worked on it. But I know you. Hey guys, can you fix this? Yes, we can fix it. It's all just emails. It's kind of amazing, but it's coming out pretty good, I think.
Oh yeah, it's great. And
looks
it's
really
the first
good.
show that we both decided we don't have to spot together.
Oh,
Yeah, it's true. You're like, you want to get?
I can just
guys
go.
have an
I can
unspoken
just start
bond,
as soon
yeah.
as it's ready. I'll start working.
I go, you want to spot this? I'm like, I think you can handle this one. I think you got this
got
one,
it.
Moon. Yeah.
After 400 episodes,
Oh my god.
Now, how about, is there a different dynamic between like making a show for DreamWorks between Nickelodeon, like between studios? Is there something different?
sure. Yeah, there's always a kind of a protocol, you might say.
Usually a fly in the ointment. You see, with me and Moon, it was just me and Moon. But I guarantee at his other studios, he's got to go through like 8 other people who all have opinions.
Is that right?
Who all give notes. Is that right, Moon?
Well, I'd say the first two or three episodes on Rocky and Bullwinkle, there was major oversight because DreamWorks had never worked with me. So Scott brought me in, and so they had a close eye on it. But by episode 4, it was just like, okay, you guys do it. We see you can do it because they have a stable. They're working on what 5, 6, 7 series at the same time.
totally.
So their music department, as opposed to Nickelodeon, that doesn't really have a music department or a music supervisor. The DreamWorks has a 3-staff music department.
Oh wow.
So they had a watchful eye, but it was great. They pretty much, if I was doing what Scott's vision was for the show, they let it go. And then from then on, every episode after that, it's nothing but great music.
Yeah.
Man, way to go, great music.
Did you watch Rocky and Bullwinkle when you were growing up?
Yes, and there was no music in Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Oh, was there?
Just the title sequence.
Yes. They had a theme song and a few of those little interstitials they would
Yep.
do.
Okay.
They'd go to Peabody or these other crazy people. But during the show, with the narrator was
Wow.
and Rocky and Bullwinkle and Fearless Leader.
Now
were
that you
on.
mention it, you're
there's
right.
there's no score,
So-
so I couldn't reference anything.
Did you take inspiration from the theme song, or did you make it up on your own? Like, what you?
Not really, because Scott and the team had done so much bringing the characters up to date.
Mm-hmm.
I just said, okay, I don't have to. There was never a mandate to refer to the original music, so we just scored it dramatically, and quite frankly, a lot like Fairly OddParents, where it never mattered if it sounds like Fairly OddParents or if there's a line.
Are you saying that it sounds like Fairly OddParents? Are you saying you ripped off
Exactly.
Fairly OddParents to
I just
do
took the audio
Bullwinkle and
files
Rocky?
and copied them and
That's what I thought.
the important
Thanks a lot, Scott Fellows.
You have a running rivalry with it.
Oh yeah. Oh no, it's been going on for a long time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is nothing new.
It's a cyber rivalry.
Yeah, this is nothing new.
As long as the music is supporting the story, then it's working. And it doesn't really matter what style. So if it needed to be big, if it's Chase, it's always usually bigger, and it usually leans toward orchestral and lots of strings and brass blasting away.
But what I'm hearing is it's still not as good
what are
as
you
Fairly
hearing?
OddParents. It's still not as good as Fairly OddParents.
Yep,
That's all I'm hearing, basically.
you've uncovered it.
That's it.
All right, but before we get out of here, one last thing. Who is your favorite composer? Like, you're a big fan of a lot of other composers. Like, who do you love? Like, I know you love John Williams.
Yeah,
you
that's
love
gotta
Henry
be it.
Mancini.
That's got to be it.
Have you seen-
I mean, if I had to say today,
John
at
Williams?
times it may have been George Gershwin.
Yep.
At times, maybe even Michael Giacchino. I mean,
He's awesome. I love Michael
Giacchino.
incredible score.
Oh, yeah.
and the Ratatouille is like, whoa, wait a minute.
The end of Ratatouille. Or just
The whole
Ratatouille,
score,
whole
yeah,
thing, right?
from top to bottom.
Yeah.
It's when I didn't know of him at that time, and I was watching this thing, and I was like, who is scoring this?
Wow.
I listen to
was
those
great.
all the time, but I would love. You got to release some of your like Fairly OddParents and Danny Phantom scores.
I would love to if I have to get some time to do it and have a website. I've been
Yeah.
working on my website for 15 years.
Well, I know.
It can be better.
The one song that we need to have out there is Ember Remember from
I
Danny
know.
Phantom. Everybody asked for that song. But we don't even own the rights to it, so we can't do it anyway. So,
If we only had the technology to distribute it to everybody on the planet,
on some kind of a screen.
Maybe we can invent it. Us three.
It's not
that's my next project.
That's
Okay,
it, exactly.
Now, have you seen John Williams at the Hollywood Bowl? I've always wanted to go.
Yes, several
It's
times.
got to be amazing.
Several times. It's not my favorite place to see music
really? Okay.
because it's outdoors, and if there's a light wind, it kind of moves the music around. And So I much prefer venues that like Disney Hall. Wow.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
I never think about that because I'm at the Hollywood Bowl going,
Well,
where's
yeah,
the
I
bathroom?
mean,
I'm like,
I'm
how do I get out of here? I'm like, I never go, hey, the wind is moving the music around. I don't see that.
So what are some movies specifically, like you mentioned Incredibles and Ratatouille, what are some other ones that you really stand out to you?
My favorite John Williams scores are Schindler's List and
Really?
Home Alone.
Oh,
Home Alone?
Yeah, I mean, I love
Really?
Star Wars and I love Indiana Jones, but
So why Home Alone? What
Why
stands
Home
out
Alone?
to you?
the themes and the joy that he conveys in the music is just incredible to me. And it's a comedy. I mean, he doesn't
Yeah.
score a lot of comedies.
Yeah, definitely.
Can I think of any other
Now
comedies?
that you mention it, well, Minority Report was kind of a comedy, wasn't it? It was sort of a hilarious look at a lighthearted look at the future. You know,
I gotta watch Home Alone again now. I really want.
Oh yeah, I love it. I play
Yep.
it it's in my playlist every Christmas.
Wow. Okay.
such a. It's funny when you're a musician, have a musician's mind. You listen to the music on everything.
Yeah.
Whereas we morons like us,
Yes.
we sit going, "Well, it's really cool looking" or whatever. We don't listen to the music, or at least I don't. And he gave me a whole new appreciation for music. The Amazing Guy Moon. So yeah.
If I want to see a movie, I have to go the second time because the first time I'm listening to the music.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Can't help it.
Isn't that amazing?
If I want to really know the story, I have to go a second time.
no way.
Wow. But do you still enjoy it the first time around?
Oh,
listening to
absolutely,
music?
absolutely.
Yeah. Very cool. Wow.
The weird thing about Fairly Odd Parents and Danny Phantom and all the shows we worked on, it's like we'd work so intensely on one episode and get it done out the door, and then you wouldn't even watch it ever again.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
People say to me all the time, "What's your favorite Fairly Odd Parents episode?" And I go like, "Well," and I'll think of some I really remember, but there's like 10,000 episodes. You're like, I honestly don't remember all of them because you'd get it done. You work on it for months and months and months.
Yeah.
And then you get it done, and it goes on TV, but you've seen it 50 times. You don't need to see it again. But I haven't seen them since they aired. I'm thinking it's the same way with you. It's like you score it,
Yeah.
then it's done. And it's like...
It's such a joy to go back and listen, though. You know,
Oh, yeah.
sometimes when people ask, or relatives ask for, hey, can you send me this cue or that cue? I'll go back and listen. And I just get caught up in playing
Oh,
cue
yeah.
after cue after song, and just laughing and smiling and like, oh, now I got to get back to work.
Yeah, exactly. I know. No, we get to play every day as adults, which is really cool. Doing great. And we have a lot more to come up. There's a lot more coming up here, pal. So don't go anywhere, Moon. I know Scott
won't.
Fellows is your new pal, but no, don't worry about that. I want you to understand. I'm your true friend over here. I'm your true pal. And so is Jace.
I'm a believer.
Yeah. There
Yeah,
You go.
I'm gonna put my brain into Jace's body because it's younger. And then
Oh, you
Jace,
haven't already?
There you go.
I'm not saying anything.
Well, there's a movie about that.
There we
I
go.
can score that.
I can score
happen.
that. Well, I want to thank Mr. Guy Moon for coming in. Thanks, man, for coming all the way out.
was
here.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
Because you live farther away now, so thank you for
Yes,
coming
it
in.
was
And
about
did you have a good
45
time?
minutes.
Did you have a good time?
Oh, absolutely.
Very cool. Good. All right, and that was Guy Moon. And Jason, anything else you want to say of anything noteworthy?
Roll.
All right, thanks very much. Roll the theme music.
Oh.
Sorry.